Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition. If you like our show and you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, you should subscribe there. Let your friends and family know about The Housewife Did It and give us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
hmm And we sometimes have like polls or questions on Spotify that you could interact with. Also, just wanted to put out an apology for last week's episode that while we were so excited to be together, it did mess up our audio a bit.
Sorry.
But
But not that
hopefully it was
sorry.
still great. Yeah, we're not that sorry.
Um, yeah, I think we'll have a good question at the end of this episode that we can put into a poll that I added.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you ready to get started?
Yep.
All right. There's so many tidbits this week. Pop culture has been going crazy this
Popping
week.
off.
Yes. So we'll start small and work our way up.
hmm
No one went home on Drag Race this week. We forgot to mention last week that Plasma had gone home. Um, who can blame them for that? That look was not good. But this week, the queens were asked to create a verse in a song, encouraging others to vote. And Rue said that in honor of that, no one should go home this week. Next week, democracy will be dead again, and anyone can go home.
hmm
But Morphine and Saphira had to lip sync for the win. Saphira got it, which means that Morphine and Dawn are still the only two who have not gotten a win.
Tyler Cameron announced that he's gonna have a home renovation show coming out on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
And it and at first I'm like, that's a little weird, like from The Bachelor, but then I remember Jordan and JoJo.
Hmm.
And I loved theirs.
Hannah Brown is going to be on the show with him. Um,
Nice.
he's posted some clips or like pictures from different episodes, and it seems like every episode will have like a few people or a guest star. So like Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell
That's
will be on
smart.
there, but Hannah Brown will also be on an episode, and a few
Cute.
other notable people. So I'm excited for that.
In Touch magazine has released some information on Taylor and Travis from an insider. So take this with a grain of salt. They basically said that more than 6 months into their relationship, Taylor is feeling comfortable to start setting rules. I would like to pause here for the sexism, which assumes that women are the rule setters who forbid their male partners from like acting a fool once they're in relationships. Resume with knowing that each of them have probably begun to set boundaries and expectations because they're at that point in their relationship. And that's totally fair for them to do. This source says that Travis appreciates her advice on navigating such a public relationship because clearly she would be more of an expert on that. Allegedly, one of Taylor's hard rules is no strip clubs, which I think is like a lot of people's hard rules. She also does not want him posing in photos with female fans, which on the surface is maybe like a little bit much. But the insider says that this is to avoid inaccurate headlines. This is all coming on the heels of people speculating that Taylor and Travis's relationship is fake or an open relationship because Travis is being seen with other women. But the insider did say that because Travis has many female Chiefs fans, he quote had to roll his eyes at that one. I hope he didn't really. That's not nice. Taylor has also asked that while she's on tour, Travis not just text her, but FaceTime her. They claim quote, she didn't overly say it, but she secretly wants to see where he is and who he's with. She fears some of his buddies are red flags, end quote. Or she likes him and misses him. And texting
She's in a
just is
long
like
distance
not
relationship.
the same thing, yeah. They end the piece by saying that Taylor is helping him with his individual image as well so that he can dive into other ventures outside of football and be successful. And these ventures are said to eventually include acting.
I could see him becoming like a John Cena or like
Mhm.
a LeBron James, and like
Shaquille O'Neal.
like fully leaning
Mhm.
into like his commercials are funny.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like he's never not gonna be like a mockery type
Right.
actor. Like he's not gonna be like a serious actor, I
Right.
presume. But
I know John Cena's gone far
yeah,
in
it's
the
true.
acting realm.
Yeah. On Summer House. Oh wait, back to Taylor just for a second. I deleted it because pissed, but I want to say that right now it is March 15th. I stayed up till 11:30 last night watching the Eras tour out on Disney Plus. And I'm not an 11:30 bedtime girl. I like my sleep. And I have never been, maybe in November, but really mostly I've never been as on board that something was going to be announced as I was today. With the 315 everywhere, with the twos everywhere. And I have been incessantly checking. I turned on Good Morning America this morning. I have been like, are my Taylor Swift notifications on Instagram broken? Like, I'm still just going to go check in case it didn't come through for some reason, and nothing. And I will probably never believe anything ever again. I just need everyone to know that. I might be done clowning now. March 15th has done me in.
Wow.
All right, on to Summer House. On Summer House this week, Lindsay is still accusing Carl of being, quote, on something, but she is trying to backtrack and claim that she's just asking if he smoked weed, but because he does smoke weed. And she keeps saying to him, but do you smoke weed? And he's like, Lindsay, you obviously know that I do. Like, asking that is like so asshole-ish anyway. Like, you obviously know that I do. Right. And she's like, well, that's all I'm asking. And he said, no, it is not. Little freaking gaslighter. She thinks that it's hypocritical that he can ask her how much she has had to drink, but she cannot ask him how much weed he has smoked. Probably because that's not what she asked him.
Yeah.
And
does it affect the same way?
No. But also, like, he said to her at one point, and it was like kind of brushed over, and I like kind of wish we had like harped on this a little. He said, like, you've been with me all day. So like, and I watched his Watch What Happens Live too, and he said like it was just, she's just trying to hurt me. And Andy was like, why do you think she would want to hurt you? And he's like, I don't know, but that's what she was doing. And it's like, that's obviously what she's doing. You obviously know he did not go smoke weed. You haven't left his side all day. But he told us that you've been drinking since y'all left Barry's workout class. So, girly pop. It's becoming abundantly clear why they broke up, why it was Carl that initiated the breakup, and why he kind of, like, when everyone was pissed at him, was like, okay, you'll see. Like, he just, like, he wasn't going to be bothered with it, because he's like, this is going to come out on TV.
Keep your peace, Carl.
Yeah.
Keep your peace. You knew you were right the whole fucking time. We're sorry we doubted you. That's a man. He's like, okay, fine, be mad at me.
Yeah. He did say in one of his diary rooms, he said, like, unfortunately, we didn't catch this on camera, but I really wish we had, so y'all could see this. And so, yeah, I mean, it does suck. She called him a fucking terrorist. it was just hellish.
And like at what point is Lindsay like, I also don't want to get married to this person.
Right.
I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
Because it seems like she's not.
And Andy said, you've heard her continue to say, like, she stands by in current time that she was completely blindsided. And Carl kind of was like, I'm not going to answer for that because you're watching the same thing I'm watching. And this is going to keep happening all summer. So you tell me if you think she was really blindsided.
Right. I find this especially interesting because in her interviews on last week's episode, they say, did you really think he was on something? Did you really think he was doing cocaine or something? And she says, of course not. So, of course, she didn't think he had relapsed. So she's just saying it for fun, to add some spice. Like, why are you intentionally saying something that I think Carl has pointed out is one of the most hurtful things you can say to him?
Yeah.
And you're continuing to say it over and over and over again. And now you're like, well, of course I didn't think it was true.
Yeah.
Then what was the point?
The weed thing, like, really, really feels like, I don't know, maybe not, but I feel like I watched her in real time come up with that as a way out. Like, they're fighting, and he says, you're accusing me of being on drugs, you're saying I'm on something, and I almost felt like I saw a light bulb go off, and she said, well, don't you smoke weed? And then ever since she said that, she hasn't let the weed thing go. And it's like, we all know you weren't talking about weed. In fact, because they asked in her confessional, do you think he relapsed? And she didn't say, no, I don't think he relapsed. I'm talking about weed, which he does smoke and isn't a part of his sobriety. She's never brought up the weed thing. She literally called him Cocaine Carl.
Yeah, she didn't call him Weed Carl.
Right. And now,
Cannabis Carl.
Now when he says something, she's like, I just meant the weed. Like, I'm like, girl. And she literally said to him, like, stop gaslighting me. And I was like, I'm going to fall out of my freaking chair.
Yeah. It's also, like, I think it's just funny because, like, I think the reason that weed is something that Carl can still stand is because weed does not get you fucking sloshed. Like, it's not the same to say, like, well, how much weed have you had? Like, it doesn't impact you the same way that, like, yes, obviously there's, like, a point where, like, you're more very high at other times. Yeah.
Right.
But, like, it's not like he's like, I just smoked 20 blunts. Lindsay, look at me go. Like, that's not how this all is happening. There's no need for you to ask him how much weed he's had.
Yeah, and on Watch What Happens Live, I feel like he was trying to avoid saying all this, but eventually he did, like, list things, and he said, like, I am sober from alcohol, cocaine, Adderall, Xanax, Molly, ecstasy. Those are the things that would have killed me, and I haven't had those in 3 years. And I think, like, harm reduction, like, he hopefully has figured out what level of weed he can smoke. And it's like, other than the Xanax, everything else in that list is like a stimulant in some way.
Right.
And it's like, and I'm sure he wasn't taking the Xanax by itself. Let me be honest. But, like, if you're just smoking weed, like, you're just calming down. I also think there's probably a reason that he's not smoking it on the show or at party settings.
Right.
Because, like, he doesn't want to do that. And so it's, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of shitty she even brought it up.
Right.
Right.
I think like Kelsey and Jimmy. Like, this is something that he seems to be intentionally keeping to himself because we all saw, like, how people reacted to, like, James smoking weed when he became sober.
It's like people can't call you sober anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's hard for people to understand. And, like, same with, like, Catherine Dennis. Like, it's hard for people to wrap their heads around. And one, it's not fair that he has to list every single drug he had an issue
I didn't need to know all that.
But like, on top of that, if it's something that, like, he's keeping private, that he doesn't seem to do, like you said, on the show, it didn't need to get brought up in the first place. And now not only is he having to defend that, but he's having to give a full, like, detailed registry of every drug he's had a substance issue with. And like, she's still, like, she can't see where, like, she's not the one who harmed their relationship by making him feel that way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And in the episode, he pretty clearly is like struggling with his sobriety because of this. And he says, oh, she thinks I'm like the old Carl. I'll go drink 15 lover boys and I'll burn the fucking house down. And it's like the boys are all like, no, don't do that. But it's like, I think Lindsay and everyone else is missing the fact that like every time this is brought up, he questions, why the fuck am I sober? She's just gonna do this anyway. She's just gonna accuse me of shit anyway. I might as well be fucking high or drunk.
Right. I became sober because of the person it made me be. So if I'm the same person with or without it, what's the point?
Why am I sober, dude?
I'm gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. Some Southern Charm news. Apparently, Olivia and Rod are out for next season.
Maybe that will give them a chance to blossom.
I feel like for different reasons. Like, I feel like Rod didn't get re-signed because he's boring. And it feels like they would have wanted Olivia back. So I feel like she was like, I'm fucking done with this shit.
Or Olivia was like, I'm done. And they were like, sorry, Rod, there's really no point.
There's no fucking reason for you to be here. Yeah.
Interestingly, the House of Representatives has passed a bill that TikTok will either have to change ownership or it will be banned in the US. It's like currently owned by a company, I believe, out of China. And they were like, either you can make this an American owned app or you're out of here.
Yeah. Also, it already doesn't have any fucking good music. What's the point anymore?
And here's the other thing. What are we gonna do? Make another one?
Yeah.
we went from Vine to TikTok. What are we gonna make next? It doesn't really matter.
Musical.ly. You skipped Musical.ly.
I didn't.
All right. Ending the tidbits with what may be the biggest news right now. Where is Kate Middleton? Now, other podcasts are probably doing a deep dive on this. We are not. It's a tidbit for us, but I figured we should mention it. So, a few photos of her have been released since people started noticing that we hadn't seen her since Christmas. But pretty much all of them have been proven to be fake. In fact, people have been able to like lay the original photos that they used of her over these edited photos, and they are like exact matches from like magazine covers and things.
They're not even trying.
Yeah. A quick timeline. In January, Kate was said to be going into a planned abdominal surgery. Apparently at this time, the royal family said she will not be back till Easter because they have like since said like, leave us alone. We told you she'd be recovering till Easter. What? I've seen people point out that when the queen had bone cancer, she was still at least making quick appearances. So like, come on. In February, King Charles announced his cancer diagnosis. On March 10th, while Mary was in Minnesota, the fake Mother's Day photo was released. The next day, on March 11th, Kate herself, air quotes, apologized because much like many amateur photographers, she was just experimenting with photo editing by completely putting her face where it wasn't.
Yeah. I think we need to take a moment and thank Sammy for bringing this to our attention so heavily. I also think going back to what you said about like saying that she could potentially be unseen until Easter, I saw someone point out like specifically that this woman has exited the hospital in her Sunday best and 4-inch heels after each one of her births, and she can't even simply like
go on a live
selfie camera video and say I'm alive, like I'm good. Or like they said, like if you like laying in bed, top half of you, I'm okay. That's all you gotta do. Like after an abdominal surgery, that seems like maybe it wasn't an abdominal surgery, and like I don't know what it was, but it's more serious than that, or like all these theories that we're gonna get into.
So, some of those theories include, but we're not going to get into like the details of them, that Kate is either very ill or is dead, and I guess has been since shortly after Christmas. That she may have had a facelift, which could be why she cannot show us her face, or that she's just trying out bangs and it's not working, I guess. Um, Others believe that William, not that this can't be true along with the others, this could be true and she's dead, but others believe that William is having an affair with
Wouldn't be an affair if she's dead.
What would have been when it started.
Mm.
With Rose Hambury, who is a part of their royal circle. People have like, someone said that there's like record of like an ambulance coming to their home in like December or January, and they were like, what if she found out about the affair and either there was like a physical altercation or she had like a panic attack, or whatever. I don't know. But theories about the affair include that Kate may just be like, all right, dude, your ratings are going to suck without me. People love me, Kate Middleton. We're right there in line to be king and queen, and I've worked my ass off to get to be a good queen. I'm gone, and y'all gonna have to deal with the media circus until you get your shit together, and then I'll be back. Because people think this is possible because the kids have also not really been seen. So they're like, she took the kids and she bolted. I don't know.
Yeah. My favorite theory is that she's on The Masked Singer.
I did see that.
I've also heard one that maybe she like donated an organ to King Charles.
Same argument
But
though.
again,
Like,
yeah, like you could say, I'm okay.
Hi. Right there in your
Like
face.
literally like a picture of her with the newspaper.
Yeah.
You don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be so fucking funny though if she was on The Masked Singer and like she unmasked herself and everyone's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? We've been searching for you, high and low." So that was the last of our tidbits. Going into Bachelor. What a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
So Jason Tartick accidentally leaked the finale of The Bachelor on his podcast. We have to mention this because it's our job. But if you don't want to spoiler, skip ahead. He was listing his upcoming guests, and he says Joey and Kelsey will be on at the end of this month. He quickly took the episode down, deleted that portion, and reposted it, but not before people recorded and shared it.
Yeah, I also, as we were talking last week about it, I already knew how it ends. And I have seen like the Reality Steve report on the ending, or have like heard it. And he describes the part that makes it unlike any other ending, which like to me isn't really a big thing anymore. Yeah, they say that every fucking year, so I don't really care. But he was like, I figured it out what makes it unlike any other ending. So I don't know if we want to share that, but we can.
I'll tell you what I heard, and you tell me if it's the same thing.
Okay.
Generally, I try to steer clear of Reality Steve because he's a bad person. But I had heard that this is one of the seasons where he had to change his prediction. He had originally said it was Daisy, and about 3 months into creating that prediction, he backtracked and said it was actually Kelsey. What I heard is that once Daisy realized it was not her, she went to Kelsey, very Sarah Ann and Laura style, and said, "It's not me, it's going to be you." And then went to like the proposal site and got out of the limo and told Joey like straight up, "I know it's not me, I know we're breaking up, like, but I wish you all the happiness in the world," which going to Kelsey would be a first. That would be something that makes it unlike any other season. But our last Bachelor had the same thing happen. where his runner-up got out of the limo. Gabby said the whole ride there, I know it's not me. I know he's picking Katie. When she stepped out of the limo, she stepped into a puddle and said, "Y'all better scoot up before Katie gets here." And then recently on Instagram, people asked Gabby how she was so sure it wasn't her. And she said that on one hand, like you can kind of feel it. Like he he started saying things to her that made her think like he's setting me up to like me not to anticipate that we're gonna stay together. But what really like finalized things for her was one, the time of the day that she got to the proposal site. She said it seemed very early for her to be the second one there. It was not like golden hour, so she didn't think it was like set up to be like a beautiful proposal. But secondly, that when they put her in the car, it was marked vehicle number 1. And so she knew she was the first car to get there.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I knew. That the thing that's like unprecedented is just that Daisy tells Kelsey ahead of time, yeah, it's you. Good news is you never really have to consume reality Steve media directly from
No.
him because it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And I will say, kudos to the spoiler people because they always give me at least 3 swipes that say, "Do not continue if you
Yeah.
do not want." They are giving me every chance, and every
Yeah.
swipe I think about it and I think maybe I shouldn't keep going, and then I'm like, I'm gonna.
Yeah. That's where I saw it was on Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I like on one hand, I'm like good for Daisy for like knowing that for herself, but also like kind of like don't ruin Kelsey's proposal.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the episode we just had that we're about
Mhm.
to get into, I am actually really glad she does. I think like good that maybe she can get Kelsey out of her head so she can like enjoy the proposal. But also the whole date with Daisy, I was sitting there thinking like this is awkward as fuck. Like their
Mhm.
chemistry seemed like so like I'm not shocked that she started to figure it out. And
Mhm.
I think like good for Kelsey that she's got that like reassurance. I don't know.
Yeah. I've also seen that I guess via Reality Steve that it's like confirmed that production wanted Daisy, at least wanted Daisy to be the next bachelorette. What's not confirmed is whether or not she accepted that
Mhm.
role, but that they were like clearly like setting that up for her.
Yeah.
Um, so we will see, I guess. Um, Maria is a great choice as well.
Whatever.
Um, the ladies of the Golden Bachelor are back this week to give the 3 remaining women advice heading into overnights. We've got Susan meeting with Rachel, Leslie meeting with Kelsey, and Sandra meeting with Daisy.
Mhm. Yeah, just jumping ahead real quick. I was shocked at how much Daisy really took Sandra's advice to heart. Sandra, I was like, I didn't watch The Golden Bachelor, obviously, and so I like don't know Sandra, but I was like, why is that her advice? Like, tell him how you feel again, but say it sexually. And I was like, what? But Daisy said, okay, bet. And
It is,
she turned it on.
yeah, it is the most Sandra advice I have ever heard. It's pretty spot on. Rachel gets the first date of the week and immediately gets a jaw injury from cliff jumping. She keeps saying she's fine and that she doesn't need anything, but she is crying and she keeps saying it hurt so bad. And she's like clearly trying not to move her face while she's talking. She's like, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. And so Joey's like, stop saying you're fine.
Yeah.
You're clearly not fine. So he calls for help. They go to
Yeah,
the
insert
hospital.
Ross saying, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
It's fine.
They go to the hospital to get her checked out, and she is released in time for their dinner date and fantasy suite. People on TikTok have pointed out that since at least season 15, no one who has gotten the first overnight date has won The Bachelor. So it's already not looking good for Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like knowing that stat, though, every single one of us would have gone into this episode and said, Rachel's going to get the first spot.
Right. Kelsey has the next date, and her conversation with Leslie leaves her a little nervous about the potential of leaving this with her heart broken. I don't think Homegirl has anything to worry about. They at their overnight date, they seem to fit so well together. They're already acting like a married couple. And I think truthfully, I think it was a disservice to put Leslie in that position, knowing
Yeah.
that she was the runner up of her season,
Yeah.
because that basically like what she said was like, I thought it was gonna be me, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was
But
gonna say too. I don't think Kelsey has anything to worry about either, obviously. But I think like that's the point, is that she's thinking like, well, Leslie didn't think she had anything to worry about, and here she is. And so like I think it's one of those feelings of like she probably feels so confident that it's her, but
mhm,
she's like, I don't want to be a fool. Like I
yeah,
don't want to be wrong, you know?
I agree. Daisy gets the last date, and afterwards, I don't even remember seeing Daisy's date, to be honest. I'm so enveloped in this note situation. Um,
Mhm.
Joey finds a note in his door jamb from Kelsey that reads, Joey, we need to talk. And we end on a to be continued. This is from her like feeling anxious by her conversation with Leslie and like second guessing how the date went and things like that.
Mhm. Since Monday, I have been alerted to a music video by an unknown, I mean, he's probably known, but unknown to me artist for a song called Sundown. Except you really probably wouldn't know it's called Sundown because you're focused on different words. But in this music video is Daisy, our sweet, sweet Daisy. And it was painful to watch. I don't think we like know when it was, like post filming Bachelor, right before, but I will say like it looks like her at least somewhat recently, like in the past few years. But the weirdest part is that in this song, the main singer many, many times says, "You can lick on my sack, suck my nuts now." It's not the most poetic piece. But it does look on YouTube like Daisy has done a few cover videos before. So, and she gets to sing in the video. Like she's not just in the music video, she's like a feature. So, like, music is obviously something she's interested in. But oof, this is not gonna get your career started, baby girl.
She said, okay, Sandra, I'll
Yeah,
be more sexual. Thank you.
yeah, she really did.
Okay. So Love is Blind, we got the reunion this week, but we also got some social media stuff this week.
Yeah. Because I'm
Brittany,
telling you, those NDAs are not strong over
no,
there on Love is Blind.
Brittany posted a TikTok with Kenneth. There's like a trend where it's basically like when I say I won't tell anyone and you pretend to like zip your lips and then throw a key, but then the other person catches the key. So it's like I won't tell anyone but him. And it's Kenneth, and the caption says, "Tune into the reunion to see where we stand." So like are all of these couples getting back together? We've
Yeah.
got Jimmy and Chelsea publicly on a date, AD and Clay on a family holiday, Brittany and Kenneth at home somewhere or at a home somewhere together. Um at the reunion though, we learn that Brittany and Kenneth are besties, just besties. Um, they said though that they're a little worried about how that will affect any future relationships they have because they really value their friendship, but also really want to respect their future significant others. Um, but I think
Totally
that's nice that
fair.
they're besties.
Yeah, and totally fair to like think ahead like that.
Yeah,
Like we know this may eventually become weird for someone.
yeah,
But at least they've
um,
never fucked.
yeah.
They've got that going
I
for
I,
them.
I felt like Brittany was pissed when they asked why they didn't just have
Mm-hmm.
sex.
To
She's
see
like,
if you could.
I said I wouldn't.
Yeah, and like I don't mind the question of like, why did y'all choose to wait?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's happening here? No. Um, but I feel like, yeah, the way it was asked was like, didn't you just want to see if the crave could come back? And it's like, I think she's right. Not that like people can't want to test drive the car, but I think she's right that like we would have been putting a band-aid on it. Like
Right.
we should have wanted each other and wanted to spend time with each other
Right.
anyway, you know?
Right. We get to see an unaired moment between Sarah Ann and Laura, in which Laura tells Sarah Ann essentially to watch her back because once they got out of the pods, Jeremy was not who he said he was. She said that he talked shit about Sarah Ann. And he made it clear to Laura that he was extremely worried about his image. And in this conversation, Sarah Ann really seemed to like take this in. She added to the conversation with her own observations. She had questions like, oh, I've noticed that too, or like, I was wondering about
Mhm.
that. But as we know, within a span of hours, Sarah and Jeremy rode off on jet ski straight into a full blown relationship, which still stands today.
Mhm.
And I'm really not interested in giving those two much more of my attention. I It was laughable to me, Sarah Ann saying that Laura was a pick me, because I think Sarah Ann and Jeremy are so like pick me, like attention needers. Um, and like in the words of Sarah Ann, some people can take the heat and some people can't.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it was
not really getting
pathetic.
into that. It was, yeah, it's just sad. They're
The
sad
the
people.
2010s prom look was
Yeah,
not she did not ate the way she thought she did
they're sad people.
with the
Um,
pounds of body glitter.
Probably my favorite part was that they read every single one of Trevor's messages with his girlfriend out loud, and then asked him to speak on it. And he was like,
Frozen.
yeah. When he finally starts talking, he says that he had actually planned everything out what he wanted to say, but lost it once they put him on the spot.
Yeah, dude, he was stuttering as hell and AD's like, "No, say it with your chest."
And if you've planned it, it's not on the spot.
Yeah.
You knew they were going to ask you about that.
That's literally the only
He
reason you're fucking here.
He then says that he was not technically exclusively dating this woman. He had told her he wanted to try something new and go for someone who wasn't his usual type. Um, and then he maintains that he would have married Chelsea had she said yes. But when she didn't, he crawled right back into a toxic relationship and instead said he wanted to marry that woman because he was a mess, which Johnny agrees to. He says, y'all trust Johnny,
Mhm.
America's sweetheart over here.
Mhm.
I was a mess.
Yeah. I have seen in I don't know, like things that weren't aired or like later interviews with Chelsea that um it seems that she was getting the vibe that he like cared a lot about his image and like that those are parts we didn't see in the pods and that essentially like that is what caused her not to choose him.
I
So
saw
I
that
think
as
that's
well.
interesting.
I saw someone say that she was also pretty for a while dating a guy named Ben that we didn't really get to see. And that it kind of came down to like Ben, Trevor, and Jimmy, and
Oh
that
yes, yeah.
she noticed that Trevor was like kind of she said he talked about clout and followers a lot, and that she had been having really deep conversations with Jimmy that didn't get aired. I also saw that she also told Jimmy that she gets told she looks like Katy Perry and Adele, but that didn't get brought up. And that then, and that Jimmy like focused on the Megan Fox part. And then when
Mhm.
they were in the DR, he told her that he liked smaller girls.
Yeah.
and that he wouldn't normally go for her. And I was like, but if she said she gets compared to Adele, then maybe you
Yeah.
shouldn't have just picked the smallest one she mentioned
Yeah.
as your frame of reference.
Every time they say the DR, I think,
Diary room.
why aren't they just calling it the confessional? And then I'm like, is he? About Trevor, maybe he like really did believe all of those things simultaneously, and he just really is like so into his toxic relationships and patterns and whatever. Um, but obviously you were not and would not have been in the right headspace to marry someone new. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Chelsea obviously asks the right question. Like, would this woman have just been in the background the whole
Right.
time? Like, for example, when we left, obviously he wouldn't have been able to when they were in the DR. But as soon as he got his phone back, would he have texted her and said, "Hey, by the way, like I am getting married, like it's over now." Like it's so hard to be like, oh, like the way he
Yeah.
contacted her after that he was actually giving this a try. In general, in the world, I am so sick of men saying that they recognize that they need therapy and everyone like fucking swooning as if that's like progress. Fuck off.
Yeah. Let me know when you're in therapy
The
and when
bar is
you,
in hell.
yeah, and when you've applied what you've
Yeah.
learned in therapy.
Yeah.
Let me know then. Speaking of therapy, Clay says he would do things differently if given another chance. Um, that he would 1000% date AD again because she is the love of his life. Hmm.
Yeah, it was so cute. She kind of wasn't about it, but
Mm-mm.
I was like so annoyed that they didn't just like directly ask them about the family Thanksgiving
Right.
pictures or like, did y'all ever get back together at any time? Are
Right.
y'all together now? Like, how long? Like they didn't ask that,
Yeah.
and
So
I
they
wanted
didn't,
to
yeah.
know.
They didn't ask if they had tried getting back together
They just
or
said, "Would
anything.
you?"
They just said, "Would you get back together?" And AD completely avoids the question. And then she says he had his chance and he missed it.
Hmm.
He says that since the show, he has changed his life. He is in therapy now, and that AD has navigated him into being a better person. And I think like it's one of those things. I'm trying to think of like who we said this about before, where like it's so great that like
Hmm.
he found someone who makes him want to be a better person and who pushes him to be a better person, but like it's not fair to AD. And she said like I wasn't going to be his mom. It's not
Hmm.
fair to AD that he needs her to be a better person when like she is already the person that she's supposed to be. And we've said
Shep,
that about,
Shep, and
yes, about Shep
Taylor.
and Taylor. Yeah. Um
I was
yeah.
thinking Kyle Cook and Amanda, but that's not who we were talking about. But yeah.
Um but yeah, I think that that's fair of him to want to keep her in his life, but like understandable that she doesn't have the time for it.
Hmm.
Um Clay also says that Brett is his role model of what a good husband is, which makes Brett cry.
Yeah, it was cute.
Then they let the previous cast members ask viewer questions, and we get some more information. Jess says that Autumn has met most of the women and even calls Chelsea Aunt Chelsea. Um, she says this when she's asked if Autumn has seen the show, and she says like parts of it, but like I don't need her being like, why is Aunt Chelsea mad at this
So and
person that
so.
we're friends with? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Um, she also says that she regrets what she said to Laura about potentially reaching out to Jimmy and that it was disrespectful of Chelsea and Jimmy's relationship at the time. But there is no love lost between Jess and Jimmy, as he has apparently been throwing her under the bus on podcast. So she takes this moment to call him out for it and says, I have taken several opportunities to come to your defense. Like, things that you said that shouldn't have been defended. I didn't want people like breaking you over the coals for the way you acted on this show. But basically, he's been going on podcasts and saying that the reason like he really knew it wasn't going to be Jess is because of all these things she said that she says she didn't say, but the like nail in the coffin was like that she stormed out of their final dates only 10 minutes into it. And they go like back and forth on this, and finally she says like, okay, bring up the receipts, everyone.
He said, I'll give you 45, but I don't even think. And I said, and she's like, I'm not asking you for a favor. Like,
yeah,
give me 45. I'm telling you how long it was.
right. The show proves that she was in the date for well over 2 hours.
And in fact, when they took the first break, it was him who said,
yes,
can we take a break?
He asked for the break and she came back from it.
Yeah.
First.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of receipts, they also showed some videos that prove Matthew was saying the same things to Amber and AD. And then Vanessa has the audacity to say, so do you still think he was saying the same things to both of you? And she said, well, yeah.
Do you feel like he was saying the same thing? Like everyone was like, Nick and Vanessa took our advice. They killed it on this reunion. That one part, like almost, I was like, never mind. Because she's like, AD, do you feel like he did say the same thing to you? She's like,
Did you fucking watch? She's like,
did you fucking watch the same thing I did?
AD then shocks the fucking world by saying that she tried to give dating Matthew a chance, but that they were in very different places, so it fizzled out after just 2 dates.
I literally cannot believe this. I just cannot like fathom like meeting that man in person. First of all, she's like, I thought he was really cute.
I think he's like, I don't think he's ugly. Just if you look at him.
And then he opens his mouth.
I would immediately think, oh my God, this man's gonna eat me.
Yeah. Like the fact that she thought he was good looking and normal enough to go on a second date. And by the sounds of it, like what she was alluding to is that she spent the night at his house.
Yeah.
And they probably fucked. She was very stuck on 2 dates ish. You know, he cooked for me and then ish. What the fuck? Has this woman ever seen herself?
I know. Especially like with how things ended, like knowing that
the last thing he said to you was something about America,
and was like the same thing he said to someone else.
And I'm gonna go get Amber.
And I'm gonna go follow that girl. Right. Like none of that is like in the back of your head, and you're also wondering like, is it safe for me to stay here? Is he going to cook me and eat me?
Yeah. It seems like by the time of the reunion, I guess Chelsea and Jimmy aren't together. He's like touching her leg, but you know, like he didn't have his arm around her, so I guess I don't know. But they also didn't ask, which I would have loved. Which I feel like is because like they probably asked them all backstage or like before, like, do y'all have anything to tell us? And then like forget that we don't know.
Yeah. I also feel like I'm certain that this reunion was filmed prior to us seeing them on that date on that's Instagram. So maybe there weren't any rumors yet.
Well, that's what sure, but I think that's the obvious question that you ask every couple. Did y'all ever give it a try? But that's what I mean by like at the time of the reunion. Like, sure, maybe they met up at the reunion and then said, now we'll go get dinner. But since the reunion has aired, Chelsea has posted a reel of like just memories of them, like probably over the last year, or we don't really know the timeline. And the caption says, our story wasn't perfect by any means, but it was my favorite. What in the fuck does that mean?
Right. You're using the past tense, but you're also like, it's the best.
Our story? Yeah. But Jimmy commented and said, this is so sweet, which to me was like, that's not your girlfriend.
Yeah. Between like them like holding hands on and off at the reunion, being seen together in public, and now posting this cryptic reel, like I think we simply need one of them to say we are dating or we are not. Like, you can't keep like toying. You have to make a public statement now because you've confused everyone.
Yeah, I've seen things that at this point I think are pretty equivalent to public statements. Um, Jimmy has since said publicly, I think I'd be doing myself a disservice by telling anyone that I would not want to have an opportunity with AD one day. But also in an E! News interview with Chelsea, which she's in her reunion dress.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
clearly, and
it's
I think she's in the pod hall.
she's it like at the reunion, but again, they just didn't ask her this or didn't air it. But Chelsea said, we tried to work on things like really like right after he broke up with me on camera. It lasted about 4 days before Jimmy realized that he does not want a relationship at all. So, but apparently he might with AD.
Yeah.
Well, a little
Good luck, friend.
scummy.
Good luck. Um, Chelsea, not that Chelsea, Chelsea of Chelsea and Kwame, announced at the reunion that she is now working in casting for Love is Blind. I'm hoping that this means that people are better vetted than whoever cast Trevor and Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've known for a while that she was doing casting, but then I'm also like the timeline for Love is Blind is so long
Yeah.
that like when I heard it may have been about like a year ago, which would have been like
Yeah.
after. So I don't she probably wasn't involved in the casting of this season, but um fun news, Love is Blind is filming or is wrapping up it filming in Minneapolis. That is
Yay.
where the season was this year.
Such fun.
Woo.
That's why I was there.
That's exactly why.
Surprise.
We did not even take you to the area that they may have been in. But all right, Vanderpump.
Mm-hmm.
The episode itself not that interesting, but we've
No.
got other things. So next week we'll be getting the Valley. My husband continues to be a sourpuss and say like, I don't even know if I want to watch it. Obviously we're gonna watch it. Stupid. But I think so exciting for those of us who have been watching Vanderpump Rules since it was first shown in tandem with the Housewives of Beverly Hills. They
Mm-hmm.
did the episode leading into Vanderpump. I think that's what we're gonna be getting. We're seeing that this season they're like mentioning Jax.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen previews that Jax is gonna be on the season, so I think we're gonna connect the two. And like how cool that Vanderpump Rules is now successful enough as a spinoff itself for its own spinoff, a double spinoff, a baby spinoff. Woo!
A spinoff.
Yeah. Like I said, they've been hinting at it already. So we did see Katie this episode bring up. Well, Scheana brought it up. Let's be clear here, because Jax ripped into Katie in the after show. But Scheana is the one who said it's the same thing as Jax and Brittany. But Katie said there are still rumors about him running around town. And then, just to mention, since I already kind of brought it up, the Vanderpump Rules after show added the cast of the Valley. And when it first started, I'm hoping this is not every week because I might be pissed. But when it first started, I thought, oh, okay, they added Jax, Brittany, and Kristen. That's fine. Like, they're past VPR, whatever. No, then they got all these motherfuckers that I don't know. And I'm like, why are they talking to me about what Scheana just said to Ariana? I don't care what they have to think about that. This is the after show for these people to tell me what they think about it. Stupid.
Mm-hmm. We get another preview of Schwartz and Katie dating the same woman who we now know is a close friend of Sheena's. And it begs the question, which of the two do you think Scheana set her up with?
Mm-hmm.
And once we figure out who it was, how did the other one meet her? How did this happen?
I feel confident, because we know Scheana is not a girl's girl,
No,
that she did not set her up with Katie.
I agree.
Which makes the story better, because if Scheana did set her up with Schwartz, but then Katie was just in there looking hot as fuck, and the girl was like,
Right.
wait, but I'm into that too. I want
Yeah.
her. Like, that's a better story. Nobody is like fucking Katie Maloney and being like, ooh, Tom Schwartz.
Yeah.
I want a piece of that too.
That's true. And like, I hope that is how it happened, and it's not like Katie was like, "Oh, Schwartz has a girlfriend who's kind of cute. I'm a date her too."
Honestly, if that's what happened, that's cool too. I'm gonna run train through his restaurant.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna run train through his life, his
Yeah,
everyday life.
yeah. I was kind of like in pain at how strange Joe is, which I know,
Mhm.
like, maybe I just had like preconceived notions, but she's weird. Like, when they're sitting there talking to Allie and James, and Tom Schwartz is just talking, and she's like making, like, if you like, I was like, Billy, stop listening to them, just watch her. Like, she's just making weird faces, she's making weird noises. I'm like, she's sitting there when Tom Sandoval pulls the glasses off his head that he's clearly going to give to James anyway. She's like, you better give him to him. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, she is so weird. Also, poor girly pop in the confessional. You coming in here as a hairstylist
Her
with your
confessional
hair
reminded
looking like
me.
that?
It reminded me of Ariana's first season confessionals, where
Yes.
she had that deep side part and like the weird braid.
Yes.
It was bad.
Yes. Not good.
Um, One of my friends said that Joe and Schwartz give them the same energy as Holly Flax and Michael Scott. I know you're not like an office person, but I can kind of see it in like the cringy moments they have. Um, but also I love Holly and Michael together.
Mhm.
So I don't want to give them too much of that credit. But like the parts of Holly and Michael that make other people uncomfortable, yes.
We got the mid-season trailer, and again, I'm not like living for the season so far, but hey, it looks like things are going to start heating up. We get a glimpse of Scheana. Obviously, understand that all of these things could be editing, but this is
Hmm.
what the trailer shows us. We get Scheana telling Brock that she doesn't think they'll be together forever. Now, in real time, Brock has signed over the ownership of their home to only Scheana, which I think is noteworthy. Um, and honestly, she probably learned her lesson from Tom and Ariana. She said, no, no.
Hmm.
James and Allie may have some different ideas about having children, to which I say what I've always said when these conversations happen. How have you made it this far?
Yeah.
I It's sad. Like, I want them to get on the same page, but also like, what? How? We get Ariana talking to a producer in what looks like the finale, because we all kind of know like what the finale event was.
Yes.
Which I have seen people talk about, like how this season is weird because we were like all privy to like while they were actually filming, and so we're
Hmm.
like, oh, that's what they're wearing when they're fighting in Sir, or like, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we know that's what the finale looks like. She tells the producer she will not be having a conversation with Tom because she knows he only wants to have a 30-second conversation to appease the audience, and he doesn't actually care if she died in a ditch. Fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Stick to those boundaries, girl. And then it ends with Scheana admitting that this has affected how she trusts even Lala and Brock because she worries that they could do this to her,
Hmm.
which is also fair. Also back to the after show, I guess. Jax is disgusting between
Hmm.
O. But they were all talking about Lala's pregnancy, talking about how she doesn't need a man. Tom Schwartz was so sweet,
Is the
which
after show live?
it's on, no, it's on Peacock.
Okay.
Um, but Tom Schwartz, and you'll not hear me compliment this man a lot, but he was so sweet. He said, Lala is going to find love one day, but like, she doesn't want to wait for that. And she wants to be a mom now. And she's a damn good mom. So like, she'll find love. Like, I have no doubt that she'll find love. Like, it's just not what she's worried about right now. And Jack says, Lala has a man, Lisa. And I was like, what does that mean? And then like, they cut to like a picture of her mom. And I'm like, that is fucking gross. Like, stop being fucking rude. It's so rude. Everyone other than Katie and Ariana believed that Jax would never cheat. Everyone on the Valley, Kristen said it. Everyone was like, there is no chance. I'm with him all the time. Brittany has the passwords to all of his social media. Like, that's not who he is anymore. And Kristen gave me a little bit of what I was looking for. And she said, he is still an asshole, but he's not a cheater anymore. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't know him anymore, but like, y'all stupid. Also, I just want to say I'm so proud of Katie. I feel like I blinked and she somehow became the most blunt, the most real, and like the most relentless on the show, even more than Lala at this point. And now I've seen a teaser for next episode, and it kind of sounds like Lala's gonna say that's like a negative, that like while she's trying to learn to be soft, Katie is like always at war. And like in a way, like, yeah, I guess that's sad, but I also think like I want Lala to learn to be soft. Like,
if that's her journey,
that's great on your journey. But like, I'm loving watching Katie not be a people pleaser anymore.
Right.
And I think that like, while she's always been chaotic, like, she has gotten out of like a minion role in 11 seasons of like following Stassi and sucking up to Scheana and all this stuff. And like, I just think Katie has had the most character development on this show, hands down.
I think that's true. And especially like as a woman, I think if Lala wants to be softer, great. But like, it is oftentimes that women feel like they have to be softer because of what people think about them. And I'm glad that Katie is not leaning into that, especially because we learn that she believes she was a man in all of her past lives and that's why she has so much trouble being feminine. So she's just really leaning into that.
And it's
her
like, if Lala feels like her bitterness is like holding her back, then like I want her to release that. But I do feel like Katie is like in her like main character, like villain era, and like let her.
I think that brings us back to the girls' astrology night from the episode. Cute. Like we said, it wasn't a very interesting episode, but this was fun. So while the guys are having a weird little suit and tie night where no one's responsible except for James.
Not at the Brazilian steakhouse with a dude behind you in a t-shirt, but y'all are completely suited up.
It was weird. Brock looked like he was gonna shit himself the whole time. He was like, Allie has the girlies come over to read their birth charts. And I think this is where I'm beginning to see a separation of the friend group, with Lala and Scheana becoming closer and Ariana and Katie, which is different from the past few seasons where Ariana and Scheana have been a duo and Katie and Lala.
It's really devastating for me.
I hate it so much. But they're coupled together on opposite ends of the couch with Allie in the middle. And Sheena's struggles with quitting Sandoval cold turkey come up again. And Ariana says pretty much what we said on our show last week, that he is not Sheena's friend. Despite him being helpful, he is not her friend. And Katie says that Sheena's being a bit much about all of this, I believe. And this is where Lala says...
No, she was talking about Lala, but she was kind of saying, like, the whole, like, defending Scheana and, like, trying to be nice to Sandoval. It's a bit much.
Yeah. And this is where Lala says she thinks Katie is a bit much all the time, which is, in my opinion, extremely untrue.
Yeah.
Katie is the farthest thing from much.
I know. I'm struggling so hard because like I never thought anything would change how I feel about Lala.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Scheana will do that to you.
the unwavering simping for Scheana is about to push me
Yeah.
over the edge. I'm like, yo, about the money, I was like glad that she pointed this out on Watch What Happens Live. Andy brought up the money, and Ariana like said, yeah, I was there. Like I was dating him and I approved of him to send that money. Like to act like it was like only Tom like being nice and that she now needs to like pick Tom over me. She didn't say all this
Right.
part, but like when like we were a partnership
Right.
and essentially like I agreed for him to send some of our money
Right.
like to her, like come on now.
Yeah. I want us to end with a fun little theory I've seen spinning around about Sheena's lightning bolt tattoo.
Messy.
Hmm. Viewers are now wondering if this lightning bolt tattoo on Sheena's wrist is a sign that Sheena was having an affair with Sandoval first. And perhaps this is why it was so easy for her to unleash all of her anger on Rachel, to punch the shit out of her, cut her out of her life, and why it's been so hard for her to let Sandoval go.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, this seems far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
So, I did my research.
But
Don't worry.
so fun.
I'm not coming here blind. I did do my research on the lightning bolt tattoo. Here's what I learned. Some viewers, there's two theories.
Mm-hmm.
Some viewers say that they remember Scheana when she got the lightning bolt tattoo on the show saying, "This is to represent a dark time in my life. Something tough that happened to her."
Okay.
Others say they also remember her mentioning it on the show and that it's a matching tattoo with Kristen. Which to me is like, does Tom brand all of his girlfriends?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Ariana got a lightning bolt hiding somewhere? But that was not enough for me. I was like, no, I want to know when y'all saw this. Couldn't find that. But what I did find was a YouTube video on Sheena's YouTube channel from 2020 of her doing a tattoo tour in which the lightning bolt is not on her body yet.
So you saw that part of her body and it wasn't there? Or
Yeah,
she
she
just
did a
skipped it?
tattoo. She did a tattoo tour. She showed several tattoos on her wrists. She did not mention a lightning bolt, and when she was showing the tattoos of her wrist, I did not see one at all.
Wild.
So I would assume it's at least later than 2020.
Interesting.
So put that in a poll.
Yeah,
Give
I
us
was going
your
to say, what's the
thoughts
poll
and
question?
opinions. That's that. Do you think?
What does the lightning bolt tattoo mean?
Yeah, what do you think Sheena's lightning bolt tattoo means? A tough time in her life. B, matching with Kristen. Or
And
C,
apparently every fucking girl that's ever been with Tom Sandoval?
okay, so C, she was having an affair with Tom Sandoval. Or D, Tom Sandoval is running a cult in which he brands women with lightning bolts.
Yeah.
Give us your feedback.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll have a good Valley premiere.
Yeah. I hope
so.
Bye.
Bye.